Good day, lads! I feel like if I don't start a video off with a good old-fashioned good day, lads, it doesn't feel like one of my videos. Today, we are back with the second Q&A for Forever Winter. And I, again, cannot express how much I am excited for this game. It just keeps getting better and better. And having these Q&A with the devs and being honest about what they're looking to do, I'm excited for it. So let's get into it. There's a lot to read. I have 29 questions to get through. Some of these questions have a lot of questions in them. So let's get to it. Do you plan for the endgame to be one where players strive towards newer content? Or will it be the case where there will be some kind of replayable aspect of the game that those with high hours will still enjoy? From Jeff, for the long tail endgame, the plan is that progression of the characters, their skills, and customization and upkeeps of the innards remain the end goal, while more content, such as levels, quests, etc., are implemented as we can and in the correct priority. Priority will be heavily influenced by what the players ask for. From Miles, exactly, in a perfect world, people will come back and explore new areas and check out new features, characters, abilities, bosses. We have tons of units we modeled but haven't brought to life yet, and some are stupidly overpowered, so the hope is that we can continue to bring those monsters to life. Hopefully. Love to hear that. I do love that these are, again, as I've said, devs who are prioritizing what the players are asking for and what the players find to be the most important. It means they're in tune with the player base and that they are looking to make sure that they're sticking to their goals and their design, but they are actively acknowledging that it's the players who will keep their game alive in the long run. I love to see it. What is the size that co-op parties can be, and how will the difficulty scale with it? Do you plan to add larger raid missions for bigger enemies? The max size is 4 players. The game naturally responds to the number of players due to the scenario and aggro system in general. It is much easier to be stealthy when solo, but shit goes south quick if discovered. More players equals more firearms and eyes, but also a bigger target and perceived threat depending on what the team does and how well coordinated they are. Short answer, yes. Boss hunting stages are currently in the works, but take away from larger scavenging fantasy for now. I like this idea that they are focusing on the player size. It doesn't seem like from what I'm looking at, it doesn't seem like there is going to be a difficulty scaling, but the difficulty will come in how easy it is for the players to be spotted and how quickly we become a priority threat. And I do like to see that. And while the short answer of boss hunting stage is currently being in the works, but taking away from the scavenging fantasy for now, I do like that, again, they're sticking to that scavenging fantasy, but you know at some point players are going to want to hunt bosses. So as long as they prioritize that into doing really well and to fitting within the way that we go and do it. Whereas these bosses are getting too close to our innards, and so now we need to go and hunt them down to reduce that. I think that could make for a really good way to keep with that scavenger fantasy of trying to keep your innards alive, while also having these boss hunting stages work that players do enjoy doing. What's up with the cows? We're concerned. Longer story, somewhat Apocalypse Now inspired. More on that soon. And also, is it a real cow? Ooh, robot cows. Cows aren't real, but birds are. Preventing becoming that guy during some of the gameplay trailers, players were seen with upwards of 200 reserve ammo, high modded weapons. What is going to prevent players from fully reaching this stage or increasing the risk factors that might punish players for doing so? Not that it is necessarily a bad thing, just what factors are going to be consistent play that keep the field high risk. What you bring both helps and adds risk. You could lose all of that if you bring it into battle and die and can't collect your tombstone. You could lose all of that if you run out of water, but you'll keep your experience and have to regrind the items. We've also adjusted the drop rate since beta. There will be some containers and enemies that become just massive goodie bags when they die. That's now adjusted. Yep. So honestly, when I go fully kitted out with a full kill team, it's harder because heavier enemies arrive sooner, and generally speaking, things can get heavy very quickly. So, If it's for a specific type of objective, it's worth it to guarantee success, but there's always going to be a bit of risk. So running light and carrying heavy will have different playstyles and risks altogether. Maybe it'll be nice to do some community heavy raids and risk losing all of our best shit just to have that rush of danger and for some good entertainment. I'll definitely be there. Is there content gated behind player progression, or is the full game available to experience from the outset? Does Forever Winter plan to have a Tarkov type model of allowing all content up front, but you will fail with incorrect gear? From Jeff, skills are gated behind player XP and player prestige. Resetting your tree raises the XP cap. Vendor inventory is gated behind faction rating and fluctuates as the factions love and hate you. Weapon customization availability in vendors is gated by your XP with those specific weapons. Vendors won't sell you mods until your XP is high enough, but you will still be able to find the mods in the field. Vendor and quest giver availability in your innards/hub is gated behind your water level, which elements you have purchased for your hub. The only fail with incorrect gear at this time is a soft fail. If you don't bring a light source, rigged light, or weapon mounted light, some areas may be very, very difficult to see in. Longer answer, but I think Jeff summed it up. Heavy weapons will be required to take on heavier units, and we have more in the works and can't wait to share. Really want to nail how they're acquired and what they can be used on, but also how the world will react when they're used. One thing I love about Jeff's answer in this is that raising XP and resetting your rank and regrinding prestige actually is a nice way to go about doing that. I remember when you do prestige in Call of Duty, it was just there for the gags and you show off how much of a no-life you are playing Call of Duty and running the prestige ranks. I trust me, I've been there. I did that. I got to max prestige in the original Modern Warfare. I no-life that, and again, I was a kid. I do love the idea of resetting your tree to raise the XP cap to get better skills, better stuff. And I think that's a fantastic way to go about that. Again, I love the vendor reputation system, choosing which faction you're side with, and getting extra mods out in the field. I definitely can see myself being a hoarder in this and not really wanting to use the best gear and always going out and going light with maybe just a larger rig. I do love the idea of needing a light on your rig. I think that's probably where I'd put it instead of on a weapon. I love their answers. They're doing so good. Will the game have unlockable skills and abilities? If so, how do you plan to have the work in the grand scheme of the Forever Winter? Certain skills, certain classes? Yes. For EA, we have initial trees that allow for use of specific weapons and rigs, as well as becoming more proficient with those. We have a lot of post-EA skills in the works that, to be very honest, we didn't have time to completely realize in early access due to priorities. More coming soon. We can discuss more in the next Q&A video. Miles, yep. We might be able to do a longer convo with Jeff, but there are a ton of work in progress abilities, so big balance would be balancing that with possible rig utility and future character related mechanical features. But we're on the case. Good answers. Again, I really don't have a lot to say about this. I'm actually pretty content with that answer. They got to work on the game. They got to work on the game, and again, I'm willing to support the game. Instead of using guns, will using more devious tactics like smoke and EMP grenades be an option, as they're way less weight but far more dangerous? Or small debris to throw as a distraction, small knife for defense, ambushes? Yes, and more to come. You can plant IEDs and minefields. You can sneak up behind unaware enemies and stealth kill them if you're lucky and good enough. You can use specific rig equipment like the pneumatic jump to avoid areas or reach areas enemies will find difficult to access. Chaff is a must. Really want to get back to the full spectrum warrior if we can, but yeah. Until it's fully cooked, it's going to take a minute for all of that to work. I saw Rilo using a suppressed rifle on a semi-auto to draw enemies over to an area so he can quickly sneak past. Totally works as a rock alternative. I dig it. That is really awesome to see, is that they're thinking of ways to distract enemies and using your own mobility to draw people away from one area if you're trying to sneak around to another. I'm interested to see if enemies will backtrack or go forward and come to your area, where then you have to sneak through the area you're trying to distract. It will be interesting. I can see a lot of ways that going south, and I can see a lot of ways that that continues to be great. Steam PC requirements. Are the recommended requirements listed on Steam accurate? Can we expect them to be lowered at some point in the future? I think 12 gig RAM and 8 gig VRAM is likely the minimum. UE5 is cutting edge, so I'm not sure where we will land in the end, but the team is on the grind, so hopefully we can push it. I heard that there were a lot of complaints over in the Steam discussion forums about the requirements for the game. I have a pretty good PC myself. I'm over the recommended requirements, so I think I'll be okay, but it definitely is a very high requesting game to be playing is what I can say on that. Are the minimum requirements listed for low settings? What can I expect on a rig that is exactly minimum requirements? Not sure yet. We're still collecting data, but that said, NVIDIA gave us a ton of graphic cards, full flight, and the QA squad is testing on each to see how far we can push it without melting the reactor. That's good. Considering that I've been playing Space Marine 2 and it sounds like my graphics card and my entire rig is going to melt at some point, yeah, that's definitely good to know. How feasible will it be to play solo compared to running with a group of players? Will we still be able to complete every mission and experience the whole game? Very feasible to go solo. I actually enjoy going solo very much. I also enjoy hiring recruits, buddy AI that follows basic orders like follow, stay, guard, attack, return to me, from time to time when other players are not available. I play a ton of solo, and Carlos plays without shooting anything, so we want to encourage Spec Ops style play as much as we can. It's very much all about navigating between pockets of calm and balancing the squads that take an interest. We have ways to go on the AI buddies for me to rock with them, but 1 to 2 man squads is peak, at least for me currently. That's good to know. I will be excited to run with full squads of community members, for those of you who do play, and with people who are complete strangers. I'm excited to play this game with you guys. This will be fun. Will the player ever be able to have a character that has one of the smaller mech suits? Or could we have access to one was found? Stay tuned. Yes! Yeah, I'd say not on the 24th, but we spent a ton of time on a ton of games with Mechs, and that's certainly on our radar. That's what I love to see. Someone mentioned it in my last video. I'll pull their comment up and put it up here. But it was a fantastic question, and I am so happy that it is something that we're staying tuned for. It doesn't have to be one of the big mech suits, but the one of the girl in the trailer that the player characters rescue, doing that one good deed in a world of darkness. Not something you get to do all the time, but when you do get to do it, it matters and it makes you feel like a fucking hero. Those are the moments that make Grim Dark beautiful, and that's why I said in my last video that this is Grim Dark done right. The Forever Winter is doing such a good job at delivering a unique grimdark experience in a world of violence, death, destruction, post-apocalyptic dystopian age. Having these moments where you can pick up ruined scrap and pilot a broken down mech or a mech that's still got some life to it and maybe put the odds in your favor in major battles that you need to get the fuck out of as quick as possible is one of those moments that makes this game look even better to me as a player looking for a unique grimdark experience that's not 40k. But yeah, I love the idea of being able to get in the smaller mech suits, the little kind of warframe kind of deals. How large are maps going to be? They range. Some are larger, others are very small and work for quick runs. Average raids can be between 10 to 30 minutes. It just depends on your objective. I do like that. I do prefer smaller maps a lot, and I hope that they're always accessible for us to do some of the smaller raids, because I kind of have very limited time, and I know a lot of other people have very limited time, so being able to drop in for quick 10-minute raids and just do some quick objectives, get some of that dopamine hit, and maybe get a little bit of relaxation before having to go and like work, go to school, go to bed, spend time with the family. You just want to have that quick like 10 minutes to 15 minutes to yourself before you have to go back to real life. So I love the idea of that. That's fantastic. How extensive will modding support be? Will it be able to add maps, weapons, or increase player limit in the lobby? It's something we'd love to explore, just bandwidth challenges right now. As soon as it's up though, I can't wait to see what the community comes up with. Fantastic answer on that. Can you go prone within the game? Stealth-based game feels so important. We would love to add prone and have explored it, but it is currently not in the game. Crouch and standing for early access, I think that's perfectly fine too. Yep, looking at some options, a dive would be rad too. Max Payne 3 for life, I do love that, that's great. I loved all the Max Payne games, I played them all as a kid, they were fantastic. I would say going prone with the rig, as big as the rigs can get, it looks a little clunky for going prone, and it doesn't really provide you, or at least me, that mentality of being stealth, although the entire world is pretty dystopian, pretty destroyed, and pretty ramshackled. So I can see it working out and being a viable excuse for going prone, as like you're just a massive shit, right? With just all this clunkiness on your back is using it as camouflage. I can see it working. I can also see it looking really clunky and weird. Are we going to have the option to play the game without HUD or minimal HUD? Looking at ways to make that work, I'm a huge fan of diegetic UX. Originally, Kai did some killer concepts where the whole HUD was modular and you could build it out like modules on the actual rig. That would be pretty cool. Was really damn cool. Yeah, even they agree. Just wanted to make sure that the core was solid first before we go full metal. Hopefully we can share some of those concepts soon. I would say having your HUD be integrated into the rig would be a much better and more unique way to present the HUD and have less fucking clutter on your screen. And as long as they don't do the blood veins in the peripherals of the game, I'm okay with that. I always prefer seeing things be more natural to the character and look a little bit better. I think one of my favorites was more recent, quote-unquote, Splinter Cell games did the stealth mechanics that the light changed on your back, and it was visible to you. I like the way that the health denotations worked for with the space game with the miner in space, not Deep Rock Galactic, the one that gave you your health pack on your back, on your spinal cord. It went from blue to red. You know the one I'm talking about. I like that on HUDs. I prefer that. I like your weapons telling you how much ammo you have. That was probably one of the best things I loved about Halo, was you'd see the weapon, the ammo counter on that. So I prefer seeing things built in. Will we get a gallery where we can view enemy weapon models? Think of Risk of Rain 2. Actually, that's something we're discussing internally, how we can make that work. Certainly something the art team wants as well. Great, I love it. That is fantastic. What I would like to add to that is with the gallery comes the lore of enemy and weapon models. I would love to see the lore behind like why each thing was created, what each thing's purpose is. I'm a lore guy. I would love to present it. I am working on a character voice for this game when I start doing all the videos for it. But you know, it's one of those things I'm looking forward to. Will there be melee, swords, machetes, etc.? I just want a hatchet. Just give me a good fucking hatchet. There is melee in early access as well as stealth kills, but no melee weapons yet. Cool. Yeah, Fiona did a spectacular job, and Sam has some killer sync kills. Can't wait to share them. Nice. Can you pause the game while playing solo offline? No. When playing alone, you can call up the menu, but the game will not freeze. Classic Tarkov rules. Live is live. So there was a discussion about accessibility, I think maybe 3 weeks to a month ago with Elden Ring, about the solo play not being pausable. And this is, again, one of those accessibility moments where Alana Pierce said that you have a current disability being a child. And it is true. Children can be disabilities. They take away from your ability to game and to play. And they need you. And again, that is a fault on you as a player, not playing the game when these kids are asleep or at school. And again, you might not always have that time. When the kids are asleep, you might be taking that time to go right to bed. That is something I would like to see them change, maybe. I don't think they will. They are sticking very much to their vision. But I can definitely see maybe when the game goes live in early access, there's going to be a subsection of the group of people that are very adamant and are very vocal saying that the game sucks because it doesn't have a pause while you're playing live feature. And I understand sticking to your vision. I don't complain when I can't pause Elden Ring, but then again, I play Elden Ring on my Steam Deck, so I regularly pause it and I play solo anyways, not online, so there's that. But again, I think not having a freeze pause feature is a little bit of a kick in the dick. I would like to see that change, but it's not a make or break for me when it comes to gaming. What are the plans for the faction reputation system, and will it affect things beyond trading, unlocking new spawn points? The faction system in early access will lock or unlock vendor inventories, lock or unlock map entry points. Cool. Increase or decrease vendor sell and buyback pricing. Nice. Increase or decrease their responsive time to aggression or hostile activity on the maps. We're also exploring other things this system will influence in the future. No specific details yet. So much cool stuff to share. Just want to cook it a bit more, but it has to do with the Mechs system. I do like the idea that if you ally with a faction, they will have you as a targeted ally, but at some point, your interaction with the field will require them to have some form of reaction in the field. So I do like that. Like, no matter how much of a friend you are, if you keep kicking your friend's shins, they're eventually going to punch you in the face. It's just the way that is. How up to date are the Steam requirements for the EA release? Plans on adding PLSS, FSR, upscaling, and frame generation. Currently looking into DLSS and FSR. NVIDIA has been super helpful on that front. Can't wait to share more soon. Cool. Does carrying more loot slow you down? Absolutely. If you are trudging, maybe lighten your load. Different character classes also have different weight capacities. For instance, the big man is slower overall, but carried weight impacts him less. Scav Girl is a beast when it comes to speed, but she can carry less. Super cool. How does co-op communication work? Text chat, voice chat. We will have text chat for EA and are looking into VoIP as soon as we can. Yep, proximity and alien-style comms is the dream. Just requires more polish, so it won't make it for the 24th. But hopefully soon after, certainly before the end of 2024. Here's the one thing I can say, with Discord being the primary way for most people to communicate in gaming these days, I can see people not using an alien-style comms, and just to get around proximity chat, giving themselves away. I can also see people who are like demanding that you use the in-game chat, but it does seem like Discord or whatever game system, actually it's only PC right now, so it does seem like Discord will be the way that people communicate. And I'm hoping that whatever the proximity alien-style comms situation is, that it's done well enough that people want to use it over Discord and kind of get around the voice chat system. You know what I mean? Will the game release on any other platforms besides Steam, GOG, for example? Absolutely. We're talking with GOG right now. They are watching the Steam launch like hawks. We will also be bringing it to the Epic Game Store. Epic has been super helpful, and their tech has made this and a ton of other killer indie titles possible. And they are helping us get this thing run more on PC, so it's got to give them props. You don't need to sign up for an Epic account or link your Steam account to the Epic Store in order to play with friends online. Thank God Space Marine 2 made us do that, but that's good to know. Here's what I can say is it does make me happy that while they are working with the Epic Game Store, they're not doing an exclusive with the Epic Games. That seems like it would go very much against the tenets of the game that they're trying to create, and I do love that. Will the devs be focused on creating new content or polishing up animation and looks of the game after EA, or a mix of both? Mix of both. Actually, priority of what we do will be determined by player response as well. Yep, there have been a ton of improvements. Craig, Fiona, and Sam have done a killer job making them much more solid, and tons of new deaths. I can say that that's really cool. The only complaint I really had with the way that the game looked was the movement of the characters on the field looked very odd. It was very odd to see. Other than that, I did not care. I thought the game, again, I love the way the game looks. I love the way the game is appearing to be, and it looks great. We're almost done here. Only a few questions left. Will the hunter killers still be spawning on top of players and seemingly random like they were in the beta? That was actually a bug. Good to hear. The hunter killers tried not to spawn in sight. Often that spot was directly behind a player. We have added a safe range as well, so this shouldn't happen anymore, or if it does, very rarely. Unless it's a grabber, in which case it could be far away. It will be on you in seconds. Cool. Good to know. What localizations can we expect at launch, and what others may we have to wait for? Possible dates on fan-made localizations within the game. Fan help would be amazing right now. We're pushing for eFigs, but we have a rough pass. Second language speakers right now have a rough pass on English, German, Spanish, French, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Polish. Gotta honor Beksinki, Portuguese, Russian, Ukrainian, Chinese, simplified but working on expanding, and looking to add more when we can. Please let us know if the translation is fucked. Some of the phrases in mission conversations might be off in certain languages, so the more support we have, the better. So if you are a second language speaker and you speak any of these language, get in their Discord and let them know what is fucked and have them improve it. Give them the correct translation, give them the correct wordage so it does improve. That is, again, this is what I love. They're here for the player base to make sure that everything is right, and they're asking for the players to help out with that. Fantastic. How is the threat level going to be handled when you are in a group? Each player have their own threat rating. Does each player's threat change to the player with the highest threat level? Each player does have their own threat rating, but the squad is aware of the group's status as a group. Meaning that if your ally is spotted and attacked, you aren't necessarily going to be, but if they find you, they will know you are together and they will try to let you up. Exactly. It's gear-based right now. Heavier weapons lead to more interest, circa Army of Two and Payday. That said, we're still looking at balancing the amount of reactions, so it's scaling accordingly. That's going to be an ongoing fun challenge. So the way it sounds like, it's been a while since I've played Army of Two and Payday, but everyone is going to have their own threat rating based on gear, and the heavier unit, if spotted and hostile, will be attacked first, possibly giving the rest of the team time to flank and get into a better position and take out the hostile target, or to get out of there while your heavier unit tries to take out a few and then bug out. I would like to see that get expanded upon and be an even better scaled system. I'm excited to see how they go through with that challenge. Do you aspire to add cybernetics to the game? Replace crude flesh with steel? Absolutely. We already have some prototypes and plan on expanding on them in the future, but they would be second fiddle to responding to EA feedback, and I am okay with that. Let that cook. Cook those cybernetics. Make them super unique and super cool to the characters. I want to see those really shine in a game that is dystopian and does require a certain level of believability. So take your time cooking those. Water mechanic. Some of the top asked questions below. Since it's easy to fill the water cap, what's the real purpose for this mechanic? For those who want to take a break or can't regularly, it's seen as a punishment. Will you make it adjustable for everyone to find a way to play? Are you able to make it so that move a character save wipe when running on zero water? Losing everything when water falls to zero, as you haven't been able to play, is too punishing. Can you make it drain during online play and not offline? Can you make a setting to turn water drop off for those of us with busy lifestyles? The system should be flipped, reward those that go on every day versus punishing those who cannot. Any chance this will be reworked significantly? Option to turn water off for those who do not want it. Can it be water death from playing the game battles versus not being active enough? The water mechanic is a systematic representation of the struggle it will take to survive. You need to keep your hub healthy, and neglect leads to loss. We have raised the cap on water and made it very clear what is happening after the tutorial mission. You don't lose your experience, but your innards will reset and you lose all your gear. Overall, we want people thinking about Forever Winter with anxiety and excitement when not playing, or as hell. We are exploring options for gear insurance, long-term storage. However, the idea being when a scav returns to a dead area, you would go to that locker and pull those items left over from a dead crew if your hub experienced water death. We also want to add more applications for water usage, and you guys had some really cool ideas that we'd certainly love to explore. The big challenge, as mentioned before, is balancing, with getting performance as solid as we can before launch. That said, if you feel like a rat in a maze, then the game is doing its job. The game won't require you to log in every day, or every week, or every month, but if you care about your base, it's worth jumping on. and there are already daily donation drops, so plenty of cool stuff to check out. So here's what I can say about this, is that is the end of the Q&A. The water death mechanic, I can see it feeling as a punishment for people, and I can see not knowing exactly how the water mechanic is operating live at this very moment is giving players some feedback. So here's what you do. You don't get the game until you have a streamer, a content creator, showing you how it works and showing you what your timeline is for max water cap. Once you reach the max water cap, having that content creator then go offline for a few days and see, is it real-time days that you're losing water, or is it not? And that's the way it goes about. I have a feeling the way that they're talking about it, it is going to be real-life days that you accumulate water for. Now, them talking about giving you a sense of anxiety and excitement, I've played games like that, and I've found them to be some of the best games to play, one of them being Foxhole. Foxhole was a great game. It was very short-lived for my time. I just ran out of time to dedicate to that game. There were other games to come out, but Foxhole was another game. You think about the war that's going on. How has your time you spent building up a supply line? When did that get knocked out? And I loved Foxhole. Foxhole was a unique experience, and I loved it. So I can see people not wanting to feel like their time is being wasted. And at some point, you as a player have to step back and take away the knowledge that you've spent X amount of hours in a video game. At some point, you are going to stop playing that game altogether. Whether you've fulfilled your goals, you got bored, other games came along, or you just stopped having fun. One day, that is going to end. You're not going to have access to it anymore, and everything is going to go away. You have to be okay with looking at it and going, I had my time, it was not time wasted, and sure, now my hub is dead, my innards are dead, and I think that is a life way, it's a living way of looking at the world. When you can look at something and say, everything dies in the end, and that is the way that it is always going to be. No one lives forever, nothing lasts forever. Everything at some point will die. I had a good run. We made it as long as we could. And that's the way of things. A game that does this to me very well and very often is Quasimorph. It is a game that I enjoy playing, and it is a game that I love dying in. No matter how high leveled my character is or all the gear that I have, when I die, I look back at it and go, I earned that. That was mine. And it is a good reminder that not everything goes the way we expect it to go. Things die, your character dies, you get upset, you get angry. That death feels unfair, that death feels personal, it feels like it was, unavoidable. But things die, and you restart. You pick yourself up, and you try your best again. So until the water system is fully in play, we're playing with it, we're experiencing it, we're seeing how long it is, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I wouldn't worry about it too much right now. I would say that it deteriorating over time, and if you find the game is just not meant for you, the game's not meant for you. That's okay. The game's not meant for everybody. The game's going to be meant for a select group of people who are going to have fun with it and are going to have a good time. But just try to enjoy it when you play it. Enjoy the struggle. Life is about struggle, and this is a video game. You're going to get rewards, you're going to get stuff. They've even said you get daily donation drops. It's a loot box. They said they weren't doing loot boxes, you liars! No, you get these little loot boxes, and you know what? It's going to be worth jumping into. I'm actually going to let my innards die once, purposefully. It's gonna probably take a while. if I get my base and I play the game as much as I probably think I'm going to be playing the game, but it's going to happen, and that's okay. That's life. Life is good like that. Play at your own rate. You don't need to always be playing. You don't need to be playing every game all the time. No game needs to be your next 1,000-hour game. I'm insane. RimWorld is that game for me. I can always start a new game on RimWorld, and I love it when a base burns down and dies around me because it gives me an excuse to try again, regardless of what my meta thoughts of the game being built is. I don't know. Take that into consideration. Just play the game, have fun, enjoy it. With that, my friends, thank you for watching today. Thank you for going through this little rant with me. Shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are amazing. There is a link down in the description below. You can join Patreon there. You can also support by becoming a channel member here on YouTube, or you can support for free and tickling the algorithm's happy button and doing all the things that every other YouTuber asks you to do. But other than that, my friends, please take care of yourselves. Have a good day. Stay healthy. Peace.